Welcome to Andy's Personal Development, the place for transactional conversations. During these conversations, we'll discover intentionality and clarity, and of course, purpose. Now, here is your host, Andy Anderson Charles. Hey, and welcome. This is a live edition of Transactional Conversations, the place for intentionality, clarity, and purpose. I am your host and your partner in personal development, Andy Charles. And this episode is entitled How to Live a Life of Meaning and Purpose with Ian Chamandy. I'll be with you in just under 1 minute. So let me tell you a bit about our guest, because he is anxiously waiting. Ian Chamandy is co-founder and chief purpose officer at Purpose U, co-founder of Blueprint Business Architecture / Life, and Gets Better with Purpose. Now, over the last 20 years, Ian has helped more than 400 organizations define their purpose and become consistently unique, remarkable through his proprietary blueprint process, blueprinting, which defines an organization's purpose in 7 words or less and uses it to design how it will operate and communicate. Ian has adapted this process for individuals so that they can create a personal blueprint for a happy, productive, self-directed, and purpose-driven life. He's also an author, speaker, and a coach, as well as a contributor to a nationally broadcast TV station. And he co-wrote the book, Why Should I Choose You? So, without further ado, let's welcome our guest live on Transactional Conversations, Ian Chamandy. Welcome.
Thank you, Andy.
Good. Thank you for being here and for taking the time to be with us. We appreciate you. And we like to always begin by asking our guests what best defines them and their purpose in life now that they have accomplished what you have accomplished. And my friend, you have accomplished a lot. What best defines Ian Chamandy?
Well, I'd say that my purpose statement is what best defines me. And as you know, when we've talked, Andy, our standard for defining a purpose statement is 7 words or less, which sounds like not very many words, I know, but it's usually 2 or 3 or 4. So mine is transforming confusion into clarity. It's my superpower, right? It's my secret sauce. It's something that I guess I seem to have developed a talent for. And both of my businesses, the corporate business and the personal business, are really just extensions of that. So transforming confusion into clarity. I have a way that when someone has a complex problem that they need solved, of breaking it down into simpler and simpler elements until the solution pops out. And because, I'm breaking it down into simpler elements, when the solution pops out, it's really simple and self-evident. So I really enjoy being able to do that for people and companies.
Okay, great. How important is it, and what is the great value in companies and individuals recognizing their true purpose?
Well, I think to answer that question, I need to define what purpose is.
Yeah.
In the world of purpose, if you go and you read articles or you watch, listen to podcasts or whatever, people talk about everything about purpose except what it actually is. And as a result, most people think that purpose is kind of woo-woo. And so I about 5 years ago, I ran into a quote by Pablo Picasso, you know, the famous artist.
Yes.
He said, "The meaning of life is to find your gift, and your purpose is to share it with the world." And I just shortened that into your purpose is to find your gift and share it with the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I do is I help people figure out what makes them uniquely remarkable at their essence, at their core. And that could be, when I say people, so I should have said, I help companies and people
Okay.
define define what makes them uniquely remarkable at their essence, right? What's the one thing that makes you uniquely remarkable? Define it in 7 words or less, and then have that guide everything that you do and say. So, as a company, I think the ultimate benefit is that every day companies struggle to define their value. And they have marketing meetings or they have strategy meetings and they come up with value propositions and that sort of thing. But they're inhibited because it's like the old adage where you've got three blindfolded people around an elephant, and one grabs the trunk and says, "Oh, it's a hose," and the
Hmm.
other feels the side and says, "Oh, it's a wall."
Mm-hmm.
Third grabs the tail and says, "No, no, no, it's a rope." And
Yeah.
that is just exactly the struggle that companies have. They grab a little piece of this or a little piece of that or a little piece of the other thing, but they don't define what the total value of the company is. And when you take the time to dig deep and define what makes you uniquely remarkable at your core, you understand your full value. So you asked me, what's the value of purpose? Well, sorry, I didn't make
Mm-hmm.
the sorry. I said my job is to define what makes you uniquely remarkable.
Right.
And Picasso said, your purpose is to find your gift and share it with the world. Well, you can just take your gift out of that sentence and put in what makes you uniquely remarkable, because your gift and what makes you uniquely remarkable are the same thing. And
Okay.
now your purpose is to find what makes you uniquely remarkable and share it with the world. And when you find what makes you uniquely remarkable, you realize, whether you're a company or an individual, that you have far more value than you thought you did. For a company, that allows them to have every action they take and every decision they make be guided by that one thing that makes them uniquely remarkable. For an individual, it's knowing your superpower. And
Okay.
first and foremost, when you know your superpower, that elevates your confidence. Because I think that more than half the world is walking around every day thinking that there is nothing special about them. And therefore, they don't deserve anything special. And I'm saying everybody has something that makes them uniquely remarkable, and you just have to dig for it. So that means that if you're one of those people walking around thinking there's nothing special about you, when you discover what makes you uniquely remarkable in 7 words or less, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have a superpower. And not only do I have a superpower that will help me make decisions and navigate my way through life, but nobody can take it away from me, no matter how much they may need,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you are, when you're fighting challenges all around you, your purpose, that one thing that makes you uniquely remarkable, helps keep you grounded in that situation and helps you make better decisions about how to manage those challenges. So I think those are the benefits. One, for a company, just really being able to leverage your value in a much greater way to sell more. And as an individual, is to know that you have a superpower. And just like, all of a sudden, you're walking a little taller, you're standing a little straighter.
Yeah. 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 I love that. Thank you for sharing, Ian. And so we reach to the point where we recognize, for individuals, the superpower, And for the company, that unique thing that makes them stand out, you help them discover that. How do you help them? Is there an ongoing process now to keep that focus and to maintain a steady path towards growing taller and extending their values and creating a larger impact, both individually and for the company?
Yes, for the company. So what you're recognizing is that anything you do with a company needs to be nurtured in an ongoing way.
Right.
If you don't water the plants, they wilt and they die.
Mm-hmm.
So when you create a blueprint for your company, and by the way, there's two other parts to a blueprint. It's not just figuring out what makes you uniquely remarkable in 7 words or less. You
Uh-huh.
then use that to design how you're going to operate. And the third thing is to use it to design how you're going to communicate,
Right.
right? So that is a total blueprint, those three parts for a company. And you need, once that's done, there are all sorts of actions that need to be taken by the company coming out of the blueprint process. So you need to assign teams like any other initiative. You need to assign teams to executing those things that came out of the blueprint. And you need to, keep nurturing your blueprint in order to make sure that it stays front and center in everybody's mind and does the job that it's supposed to do, which is guide everything that you do and say as a company.
Okay. Okay. What about the individual?
Well, um, okay, so for the individual, we have a course. And the
Okay.
course, yeah, the course, you can see it there. It's Purpose U, right? And it's at
Right.
you can find the course at Purpose U. That's like Purpose University, right? So purposeu.ai, that's where the course is. So you can take our course and I lead you step by step by step through the process of uncovering your beliefs, wants, and talents, which are the things that drive your life. And then we use your beliefs, wants, and talents. And by the way, just that is illuminating to know all of these things that have been driving your life all along, and all of a sudden they're revealed to you. That it's really interesting, and you can now use them. But then we use them as the raw material to reveal your purpose in 7 words or less. And then we tell the story. So I lead you through the process of constructing, of designing the story of your purpose so that A, you know it inside out, but B, you can communicate it to others in an influential and charismatic way. Part
Wow.
part
Yeah.
two of the course, which
Mm-hmm.
has not been introduced yet. Part one is introduced. You can go and you can do that now. Part two of the course will be, we've identified 10 different areas of your life. So, family, career, finance, health, and wellness, those are just four. And what we help you do is using your purpose statement, you design an action plan how for how you're going to breathe purpose into that area of your life. And we start with finance. How are you going to design your finances so that they support a purpose filled life? And the reason we start with finance is like money is the oxygen of everything we do, right?
Yeah.
So we,
Correct.
but then we move on, how are you going to design a purpose filled career? How are you going to have a purpose filled family? So we're in part two, which has not been released yet, we we take you through the process of designing action plans in each of the 10 areas. And that's how you perpetuate your purpose, how you live your purpose.
Ah, wonderful. Wonderful. Wonderful.
I
Thank you.
would add,
Thank you, Ian. Yeah.
I would add one other thing, Andy.
Sure.
Because your purpose is expressed so short. Um, and by the way, two of the criteria for a well-crafted purpose is One, it has to be logical and self-evident, because if it's not, if you can't understand it, how are you going to live your
Hmm.
purpose? But the other is
Wow.
it resonate on a deep emotional level. And that's where the stickiness of your purpose comes from. It's like once you know your purpose, you can't put that toothpaste back in the bottle. So,
Hmm.
so even if you don't nurture it, you know what it is. It's always in your head, and it will be there for the rest of your life. And even if you don't do a great job of intentionally using it to live your life, it will guide you still. So that's part of the beauty of it is that it just doesn't go away. It's always there. No one can take it away from you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Love it. Love it. Love it. So now I'm going to share something with us, Ian, and I want you to just do some color commentary on this publication. Why should I choose you? Answering the most important question in business in 7 words or less. How did you come up with the name of this publication, and what's the basic concept or idea that you want people to get from it?
Well, this is a book that is
Hmm.
about the corporate methodology. So when I
Okay.
talk about doing a blueprint for corporations, defining what makes them uniquely remarkable, using
Yeah.
that to design how they operate, using that to
Yeah.
design how they communicate, what this book did is it explained our methodology. We
Okay.
wanted to write a book about what we did because it's a very different kind of strategic planning. You won't find anything like this in business schools, which I think is scandalous, because this methodology flows from the basic belief that the single most important strategic asset that any company has is knowing what makes it uniquely remarkable. And if you buy my thesis, even just for a moment, what makes this scandalous is that 98% of the companies in the world don't know what makes them uniquely remarkable. So they're already starting at a deficit. And you will not find this taught in any business school anywhere in the world. So I find it crazy that if the single most important strategic asset you have is knowing what makes you uniquely remarkable, and most companies don't know what that is, I just find that crazy. So that's what this book is about. And the title is just intended to be provocative. In the
Hmm.
back of the book, Andy, is a fun exercise. What we did is we spent days on the phone calling like grassroots workers at various companies and saying, why should I choose you? And seeing what they came. So I'll give you an example. I
Mm-hmm.
called I called 3 car dealerships. They were the same. They were the same brand. I won't say who it is, but I do in the book.
Okay.
So it's the same brand, and I know that when a car dealership is trying to get your business, its primary um, selling feature is how close is it to you. They'll always say that. Where do you live? And then they'll talk about how convenient they are. So what I did is I deliberately picked 3 dealerships that were all equal distance from me. And I called them up, got a salesman on the phone, and I said, there are 3 of your, colleagues, 2 other colleagues of yours who are equidistant from me, and I need to choose one of the 3 of you. Why should I choose you?
Zero. Yeah.
And um, this guy, one guy said he was quite um, he was quite upset that I would have the nerve to ask him that question. He said,
Wow.
in 27 years in this business, I have never been asked that question. And it's like, I'm thinking in my head, dude, you get asked that question hundreds of times every single week in thousands of different ways.
Yeah.
And it could
Yeah.
be as simple as, how much are you selling that car for? Well, that's their way of saying, why should I choose you? Right? Um, so another guy says, Uh, well, now this was a higher, this was a higher end brand, right? And he says, well,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
we have the most sophisticated waiting rooms for you with, coffee. And then he says, well, you know what? All the other dealers that are like us have that as well. And then he said, we have the widest selection of newspapers and magazines for you to read while you're here. And then he said, yeah, you know what? All of our sister dealerships have that as well. Then he says, and this is very telling. He says, if I could answer that question, why should I choose you? If I could answer that question, I would be the biggest salesman in the country. Can you
Wow.
imagine a person who does frontline sales for a company who says, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. But I do recognize if I could, that I would be the top salesman in the country. Now, here's
Wow.
the thing. When you talk to salespeople about this question, not asking them, tell me the answer to it, you just say, like, what do you think about this question? They will all say the same thing. The company does not give me the tools and resources and knowledge to answer that question effectively. So I'm
Mm.
scrambling in the dark.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the company thinks it's doing a great job of figuring out what the value proposition is for its products. And then the salesmen go out there and it only sort of kind of works. It's because you don't know your full value. You're that person with a blindfold on, standing beside the elephant, putting your hands on it, on its side and saying it's a wall. When no, it's much bigger than that. It's much more
Wow.
valuable than that. But the salespeople are not being provided with the kind of intelligence and information that they need to sell effectively because they only know little bits and pieces of the value.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
knowing your
Yeah.
purpose. Knowing your purpose, the answer to the question, why should I choose you, is your
Uh-huh.
purpose. That
Yes.
one that makes you uniquely remarkable, right? If
Yes.
I want to sell you, Andy, if I want to sell you on my course, or if I want to sell you on doing a blueprint for your business, and you say to me, Ian, why should I choose you? And I'll answer you, Andy, because my superpower is transforming confusion into clarity. And if that's what you need, if you're struggling to sell, then your response to that is, oh my God, that's exactly what I need. I need clarity about what my full value is. Tell me more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow.
You
So
can tell I'm a little
I'm
passionate
thinking,
about this
yeah,
stuff.
go ahead.
You can tell I'm a little passionate about this stuff.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And that's all good. I was told by a leading institution on sales and promotions, Ian, that when will they pitch a customer or potential client, they know that they have to get to the mind of the person so that they can do their calculations and assessments. But they said the only reason why the person buys into what they are selling or pushing or promoting is when there's a connection with the heart. I want to get
Exactly.
your comments on that.
Okay. So if any of your listeners have either seen the TED Talk by Simon Sinek, Start With Why, or read the book, by the way, if you've seen the TED Talk, no need to buy the book. It's all in the
Right.
TED Talk. But he talks about how a product, the value of a product needs to resonate on a deep emotional level, right? Your why. What's your why? Why are you selling this? That's what people buy into, right? When people buy Nike shoes, sure, they like that they're pretty shoes and they have, most of them have no idea how they perform or don't perform. But what they're buying into is the just do it ethos, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nike is a company that knows its purpose. It's just do it. It rode that purpose for 30 years and then it abandoned it, and then it brought it back because it's its purpose. It's its purpose forever. It couldn't deny its purpose. Its purpose sort of got shunted to the side, and then it fought its way back and said, no, 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 just do it. So when you buy from Nike, what you're buying into is just do it. And if you're a just do it kind of person, you say, yeah, I'm just do it. So yeah, I'm going to buy these clothes. And if you're not a just do it person, you can pretend you are by buying Nike. You look at me. I'm a just do it guy as you're sitting on the couch watching the football game on Sunday afternoon. So, so it is the emotional connection that people are looking for. You can make a logical connection, and people will say, "Yep, that makes sense," but there's nothing sticky about that.
Mm.
When it resonates on a deep emotional level, then it becomes sticky. Maybe I can give you an example with a company. Would that make sense?
Sure, definitely.
Okay. And then I can also give you an example with an individual, and you can see how
Hmm.
those two
Yeah.
things are so similar in some ways and different in another. But so I I was having breakfast with the CEO slash owner of a retail shelving company, right? Home Depot
Hmm.
goes, builds a box. They go in, they put up all the rack shelving, and when they're done, the store's open. So when we're in their blueprint, or sorry, so the CEO said to me, I know there's a magic to my company, but every time I open my mouth and talk about it, it sounds so banal, so generic, so like anything anyone else could say. Right? There's the elephant again. He's like grasping for little bits of value to communicate, but he doesn't, it sounds generic because he doesn't know what the full value of his company is. So we're in the blueprint, they're talking. And where it got interesting was when they started talking about how they had been in business for 3 generations. That's a long time. And because of that longevity, they had developed techniques and processes and systems and procedures that allowed them to get finished significantly faster. So you can imagine if they get a Home Depot done a month faster than their competitors, then the store opens a month sooner and it starts generating revenue a month sooner than it anticipated. And that's about $2 million a week for a Home Depot. So that's real money in my world. And as we're having this conversation about getting finished faster, um, one of his VPs says, on our signs where it says opening soon, I want ours to say opening sooner. And I just went, that's
Wow.
brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. And now so the VP of construction at Home Depot has two responsibilities: stay on time, stay on budget. Staying on time, they're accountable to the CEO and the CFO. Staying on budget, they're accountable to the CEO, the CFO, the VP of operations, the new store manager, and all the construction teams, internal and external, that have project management timelines going into that opening day. If you've
Hmm.
got to delay that, then that goes click, 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 click back through everybody's project management timeline. And now you've got hundreds or even thousands of people angry at you.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
so you can imagine staying on time is arguably as anxiety driving as staying on budget for the VP of construction. And when my client walks in and opens the conversation with, our commitment is to opening sooner, that blows up in the VP of construction's head. They don't need to hear anything else. They hear 2 words, opening sooner, and they know, whoa, you're not only going to meet my deadline, you're going to beat it, which makes me a hero. And you're going to beat it by so much that we can start generating revenue before we anticipated. That all goes off in the VP of construction's head from just 2 words, and then he or she leans in and says, I haven't heard this story before. Tell me more. You got
Right.
them hooked. You got them hooked, right? Because you're not just appealing to their logic, you're appealing at a deep emotional level.
Yes. And the individual.
Okay, so I um, I have a colleague, and at the time she was the CEO of a company. It had been there for 5 years, and I believe it was her third CEO gig. So this was, she's an experienced CEO. We're having a drink after work, and she said, "You know what? Company's running itself, and I'm bored." And I said, "It sounds like it's time for your next gig." And she said, "Yeah, I think so, but I'm scared." I said, "What do you mean you're scared?" And she said, "Well, when I joined this company, it was a mess. And I just had to put my head down and focus on the company. And there was so much to do. And I had to really engage and just stay focused on this. And now here we are 5 years later, and I feel like the world has passed me by because I've been so focused on this. Are my skills still relevant? Um, is there anybody out there who wants me? Is there a job out there for she had all these questions and no answers to them. And that's really, um, that is an important time and important event. We call it a trigger event. Something happens, and the trigger here is I need to go out and find my next CEO job, and that creates uncertainty because you don't know where
Yeah.
it is, and you don't even know if you can get it, and that uncertainty creates anxiety. And if it's serious enough, it even creates fear. So I would
Yes.
say that she was bordering on fear. Do Am I going to be able to get my next career? So we did. We defined her purpose. We had a conversation, and I led her through the process. And what she said was, "This was an ideal job for me when I started because it was a mess. I don't like jobs that are easy because I can't get my brain engaged if everything is going well." And, the conversation went a lot more than that. But I said to her, "You're creating this image in my mind of this group of soldiers that have just been through hell and back. And now they're at the edge of a minefield. And they think, oh my God, after all of this, I somehow have to get myself through a minefield without getting blown to bits." And she comes in as their new leader and says, "Don't worry, everything is okay. I've been through 1,000 minefields before, and I'm going to lead you safely through this minefield." And you can just imagine their relief saying, "Oh my God, this is someone who knows what they're doing, and she's so cool, calm, and collected. Yes, I will follow you." And so her purpose statement became leading safely through the minefield. Now, the way you use your purpose, one of the ways you use your purpose as an individual is as a decision making tool. So now she's out and she's entertaining offers from headhunters. And this headhunter gives her a call and says, "I've got the perfect job for you," right? "This is a fantastic company. It's profitable, it's doing really well, and it just needs somebody to take it to the next level." And she says, "No, no, that's not for me." "What are you talking about?" And she says, "I'm all about leading safely through the minefield. I need a minefield, not a company that's doing well." And
Yes.
he said, "Well, I've got this steaming pile of garbage over here that is, but I'm embarrassed to show it to you." And she said, "Show it to me. That's what I want to see. Because my brain does not get engaged unless they're on the verge of extinction." And then everything starts firing in my head. And you know, I just start making stuff happen. And that's what I did with my last company. And 5 years later, it's running itself and I'm bored. So you see how, for yourself, it really helps you make decisions large and small. Because what you're doing is you're saying, how does this decision, how does my purpose guide this decision? And you can see from the example there how it did, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful. I love it. I love it. So, Loretta Packett says, a blessed and happy new year. Same to you, my there. One of our favorite supporters. We haven't seen you since the year has begun. So thank you both from myself and my guest Ian Chamandy. We have
Thank you.
come to the end. We have come to the end. This has been really fascinating, Ian. How to live a life of meaning and purpose with Ian Chamandy. I'm gonna put up again your information on the
Please.
screen, and you can tell people how they can make contact with you with regards to the purpose driven life that you can help them to discover and maintain as well.
Well, I can do even more than that for them.
Okay.
Uh, so you see the address there, purposeu.ai. Um, I have a promotion code because the course just launched last week. So I have an early bird promotion code for your listeners. I don't know, should I type it into the chat? I don't know how to communicate it to them, but they can get 50% off the course with this promo code. And not only that, but they can share it with their friends and family. Give the gift of purpose, and they can all get 50% off as well. So you can create this ripple effect of purpose throughout your life by giving it to your friends and family. So, so if you go to that website and you register for the course, you'll see there's a place where you can put in the promo code, and boom, you get 50% off.
Wow. Yeah. So you can give me the promo code and I will put it out on the show notes and they
Okay.
will get it.
Okay. That sounds
So
great.
yeah. Wonderful. So we have come to the end of this episode, How to Live a Life of Meaning and Purpose with Ian Chamandy. And we thank you for your continued commitment and your support. And as we go, we want to remind you to seek always to develop intentionality, clarity, and purpose in your life. Bye for now. Until next time, all the best. Take care, guys.